Hello Dusadwi. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
Oh, sorry. I'm Sailor Eli Warren. I 100% spaced out.
And helly do sad we to you too. I'm Maddie Weapon.
And today we'll be playing part 3 of Final Fantasy X, stopping after the Spherimorh fight in the Macalania Woods, which is a little earlier than we said last time, but a lot of things happen with this little stay over at Seymour's, so we wanted to
definitely the right decision. Yeah.
Like playing wise, I felt like I was done in like 2 seconds. Like you ride the shoe puff, you do the thing, you go in the woods, and that's about it.
No. It took me 8 episodes, 8 half-hour episodes of YouTube. Oh wow! So that's a lot.
Yeah, I tune out the battle part of it, like just walking around and
also,
battles.
Yeah, and also it allowed me to spend like 5 fucking hours doing gameplay stuff because I'm starting to really enjoy a lot of the game systems now. So I'm like, cool, I can just go around Thunder Plains for 5 hours.
Yeah. But as a reminder, before we dig into all of that, this game is designed to be a dedicated voting period for the Best of the Rest game. I actually don't remember when this one is over. I don't remember if it's this week or next week. Let me pull that up.
Oops.
Go into our posts.
It'll definitely end at
because Bernard just said that he voted on.
Yeah, so it's not over at least, but it might be over next week. It's 2 weeks. It's 14 days left. So, yeah, so for the next 14 days, you can vote between Dragon Quest V and Magic Knight Wraith for the SNES. It's really, really close because our friends hate us and don't want us to play Dragon Quest. Like, literally, Matt said yesterday that he voted for Magic Knight Wraith because it wasn't Dragon Quest. And Jason said he voted for Magic Knight Wraith because he thinks that Dragon Quest will beat Okage, and he wants us to play Okage.
See, that's the thing. I feel like these people all feel like they're voting for the underdog, but it's like, no, y'all don't understand. Dragon Quest is the underdog because Dragon Quest, despite being the most famous video game series in Japan, never wins our fucking polls.
It never does.
As far as this podcast is concerned, Dragon Quest is the underdog because it's cursed.
It is. So, Dragon Quest is winning, but it's like 60-40 and not like 100-0 like we begged last week, but whatever. Go and check out our Patreon. It has all the polls on it. If you throw us $1, you can vote on it. If you want to throw us $1 and then cancel immediately after you vote, that's totally fine. Yeah.
You're welcome
there's some
to do
stuff going on behind the scenes that'll probably be changing with how the whole thing works in a little bit anyway, so you might be wanting to change your donation setup in like a month or two anyways. So just
Patreon's doing some bullshit.
Yeah, it's doing some bullshit. So I'm checking.
Wait, what bullshit is it doing? I'm not aware of.
Patreon is switching to a tiered model where they now have a basic tier and a pro tier, and the pro tier costs more money. But here's the thing, the pro tier is what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Oh.
But they're like, now this is the pro tier and it costs more money.
Yeah.
Well, that's dumb.
So instead I'm looking at Ko-Fi, I don't know. But there's
I have no fucking idea how to pronounce that shit.
But its basic tier is just people give us one-time donations. But if I do their pro tier, it costs $6 a month, which is less than we pay in fees to Patreon. And so for $6 a month, you get more Patreon stuff. But then you also can add commissions, and you still have one-time donations, and it kind of is better for our situation anyways, because then we could just have a one-time donation for the poll or whatever, and yeah,
that's cool.
But yeah, so looking at all of that, we'll see how it all shakes down and see if this change gets reverted in a week, like the last time Patreon made a change to its fee structure. But before we get to all of that, how was everybody's week?
Not a whole lot going on with me. I've been doing more art, and I'm very proud of myself for it. Although now that I've finished that last picture, I'm like, what do now? Although Maddie sent me an amazing picture from Twin Peaks, like fan art of Twin Peaks, that I really, really loved, of Gordon Cole looking up into a big vortex. And at some point, I feel like I should do some Twin Peaks fan art.
I just want you to draw all of the things and never stop.
Oh. I'm
back.
Hi.
Oh, I was like, oh, Maddie didn't respond at all to the comment I made about the awesome fan art that she sent me from Twin Peaks.
Sorry, it dropped for some reason. Technology.
Yeah.
Yay. I don't know. I get into these like massive slumps, and like I've got so many works in progress that I need to finish, but then I open them up and I'm like, I'm never going to manage to finish this. I was too ambitious. I can't do it. So I don't know. I'm trying. It's a struggle for someone who has depression and anxiety and ADHD.
I will also remind you that completing things does not make you an artist or not. So if you don't want to complete these works in progress, you can just post them as an incomplete, and then maybe somebody will be like, oh wow, I love this, and it spur you to do it. Or people say, I love this, and you're like, yeah, but you finish it then.
And you do it. And I mean, like, I'm also really discouraged because, like, it feels like anytime I post my art somewhere online, it gets like 0 views. Like, I posted that picture I did of my priest in World of Warcraft that I'm super proud of. 12 notes on Tumblr. Whereas I see similar artwork, or like someone's like, oh, it's just a quick sketch, and it's got like 300, 400 notes. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing wrong?
Tumblr is also imploding, so I wouldn't base it off of Tumblr. Like, really, also, it just feels like everything is dying there.
Also, don't forget that Tumblr is trash, and people are trash, and people have bad taste in general, and no one knows what is good for them. So
yeah, like there's
fuck them.
So in high school, I was a budding artist. I stopped drawing every day, and so my art skills are like trash.
Does that mean you took a lot of weed?
Yes, I was a budding
budding artist.
But and so I would draw this these little things. I called them nips, which is just pink backwards, but they were like half Kirby, half Domo. And I would like draw them on all of the things, because you basically would just draw 3 weird looking circles, add pupils to 2 of them, and then ta-da, there's their face. Then you just draw the body around it. And so I was like doodling those everywhere, and I loved them. And nobody like gave a shit. Like I would like show them to people, they'd just be like, that's cool or whatever. And then this girl, Corey, she saw them. She's like, oh, that's so cute. And so she started literally drawing my nips, but like gave them like alien antenna squigglies on them. She drew them everywhere, and everyone was like, oh my god, that's so cute, Corey, blah 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 blah, this is that. I'm like,
it's because she's a cute girl.
She was, because she was a cute girl, but it still was just like, oh, okay, so doesn't like art is fake. Okay, that's fine. Let's just move on.
That's why I'm a cute girl now, obviously.
Right? Like, now I can just steal Sam's art and get all of the credit.
Yep. Absolutely. Never underestimate the power of never underestimate the ability for horniness to cause quote unquote rational quote unquote just the facts only please quote unquote logical men to be the exact opposite of all those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what about you, Maddie? How was your week? Also, just real quick, my birthday was great. Me and Eli had a whole bunch of fun in that escape room. It was we did really bad. We technically didn't. We took 62 minutes, so the timeline was 60 minutes.
I think it was 64.
Yeah. It didn't feel that bad because but at the beginning, because nobody has flashlights, like half the group ends up like, well, I'm holding a thing, but like you finish that over there, and so it kind of like grinds to a halt at the beginning. But after,
I'm just gonna fucking feel around this shelf for a while and see what I can get my grubby mitts on.
But after we finished that part, we were like, bam, 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 solving like all of the puzzles. I was like, wow, we did fast, but we probably wasted like 30 minutes just like bumping into shit in the dark. But
and scaring each other.
So many...
I was sitting in a chair at one point, and Summer's sister-in-law, I'm sorry, I can't remember
Izzy.
her name. Izzy looks over and she's like, oh my god, I thought for a second you weren't you. I was like, nope, still me.
There were so many times,
still here.
So many times where like somebody would be on the other side of the desk I was on, and I would just be like looking around on the desk or something, and then put up my flashlight. There's just a person's body just like standing over me, and I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
Eli, would you say you were still you despite everything?
Yes.
But sorry for inviting you to talk and then cutting you off, Maddie. But go ahead.
Oh, it's fine. I have some news for y'all. I've got something cool that I'm sending a picture to you right now in the chat. SpongeBob voice. Look what I got!
Yay!
Yay!
Cylinders. Anyway, I'm gonna take one of these right now. I got some Spherimorh last night.
Yay! Spiro Agnew.
I'm so happy for you. Just grind it up into a fine powder and snort it up your nose.
Don't do that.
I will not.
There was some douchebag online talking about, like, blah, 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 you know, snorting hormones isn't going to make you the opposite sex. And I'm like, excuse me, you know nothing about how hormones work. We don't snort them, we smoke them. Thank you.
Or you apply a topical cream.
Yeah.
Anyway, bottoms up, bitches.
Woo! Kampai.
Okay, I'm probably gonna feel like I'm gonna die later. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Love
Sweet.
it. Love it. Awesome.
Yeah, that's
Fantastic.
definitely what those do.
All right. Sweet. All right.
Yeah,
I don't really care what else is happening in my week.
cool. That's all. This really is all that mattered, and I'm glad that it was recorded.
Yeah. That's the important part.
Okay, so before we begin, there's two things that need to be addressed. So there's one thing. There's actually an interesting plot point that was mentioned a while back. We just forgot to mention it, and it got lost in the shuffle. So Yuna, sweet Yuna, is half Al Bhed. Her dad is a human, and her mom is an Al Bhed. It's mentioned at some point in the last two episodes. And then Lulu tells Goku, like, hey, don't tell Waka because he's super racist. So that's an established plot point, by the way.
And that was one of my memorable moments too, where it was like Lulu tells Titus, "Don't tell Waka," and he immediately goes, "I have to tell Waka," because it's about the Blitzball thing. But I wasn't paying enough attention, apparently, to what he was not supposed to tell Waka.
Yeah,
but whatever. And then a second important plot thing is that I was again we're going to bring this up. I just forgot. I just forgot to. When the characters are doing Operation Mihen, in the previous chapter, and they're like, Seymour shows up and is being all Seymour-y. At one point he talks to Yuna and he's all like, Lady Yuna, will you let me be? Or he's basically just like, I want to be your friend, we should be buds. And then he's like, I want to be the Zeon to your Yunalesca, and I'm like, I don't know who these people are, but basically it just really, to me at least, really came off like he was hitting on her in kind of a weird way, and spoiler alert, he was hitting on her. That's going to be relevant today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't feel like hitting on at the time, but I realize now that I was wrong.
Yeah. Maybe I just interpreted it that way because I've played the game.
Yeah.
But who knows? Anyway, so when we last left our heroes, we had just gone to the a bunch of people had just died, and then we had gone and done the Thunder Dungeon. And now we're on to go to continue on our journey. So we go through a place called the Moonflow, which just it's a line with some trees on it. And who should appear but characters we didn't mention last week.
Real quick,
there's these Ronso.
Real quick,
And
Maddie,
what?
before we jump into that, so I was checking to make sure that we weren't spoiling, and not only is Yuna half Albed, her uncle is the Cid of this game. So yeah, kind of.
Oh, that's right. Important. She did mention her uncle Cid.
Yeah, and that will be found out next week. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
we meet the Ronso.
Yeah. So there's these Rons we've already met once before. We met them in Luca. They're basically like bullies. They're way bigger than Kimahri, and they're like, "Oh, little Kimahri, you suck."
Well, and Kimahri's horn is also broken.
Exactly.
They have full horns. So
yeah.
They're mean to him about that.
Yeah, they call him hornless. They're basically Hans and Franz.
Yeah.
That's not the accent. I don't know what accent they have, but whenever I try to do it, I guess that's what it sounds like. Anyway, so this is the second time they showed up to just pick on Kimahri and tell Kimahri he sucks, and that he left the tribe or whatever. But this time, Kimahri stands his ground. It's really cool. Kimahri goes, basically he's like, "Did y'all just come here to pick on me?" Like, and they're like, "Actually, no. We have a reason we're here. We're here to warn you about the summoners disappearing," which is a thing that we heard about last week. Then they leave, basically, and they're like, "Good luck," you know. Goku asks Kimahri, "Do those guys have something against you?" And Kimahri's like, "Look, I'll deal with this. This is a Ronso problem. I'll deal with it my way." And Goku's like, "I'll help." And Kimahri's like, "No."
Please don't.
We have a second Aeon battle. It's hard as fuck, but you can cheat, and you can use 2 Aeons, so then it's not as hard.
Yeah.
It was still impossible for me to beat.
Yeah.
Mostly because when I meant to heal myself using Ifrit's fire, I used it.
I've never even thought to do that.
You can oh my fucking god, that's Eli, you're brilliant.
You can do it with Ixion's thunder too.
That is.
I'm a stupid boy.
I'm a stupid girl.
I am a tiny child who does not grasp the
I did win the battle,
world.
but it was difficult, and I didn't think to do that. Yeah.
Well, I just happened to notice that like Ifrit had gotten hit by fire when I had summoned it at a different point,
and
it healed
That's a very obvious thing that I was too dumb to figure out.
See,
it's okay.
Like you come from the systems Final Fantasies, and we've spent way too long in the story Final Fantasies, so we forget that. Like,
well, to be fair, a lot of RPGs you can't target yourself.
True.
So that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Back in my day, Cure killed the undead.
Like I think the last couple of RPGs we played, you can't target yourself, so that's also part of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you win, whether you win or lose this battle, you unlock one of the game's systems. You can now train your Aeons. Which means you can use loot items to teach them new moves, but you basically can't because they all cost way too many items. So you're going to be ignoring this for the next 10 hours.
Yeah. And also, none of the skills were ones I really wanted. So I'm like, why am I going to waste 30 ability spheres to then let you be able to take ability spheres from the enemy? Like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, it also, it was like, oh, how come her character, her Ixion has haste and yours doesn't? Here's how to get it. And so it goes through this tutorial. Also, I'm so over the amount of tutorials that are in this game. I'm not about games full of tutorials, but I will not...
Especially the Final Fantasy style where it takes over your screen and, waits for 10 seconds for the thing to go between each, like a little finger to click.
And you're like,
I got it. Let me skip it.
I got it.
Yeah. Can I just not? Can I not?
Throw up a single text box that says it. I'll read it and I'll get it. Just let me move on.
Or I won't read it, and that's my problem.
Yeah. It's my fault. Let me deal with it the way I want. I won't go into my full I hate tutorials rant, but it teaches you how to get haste, but haste is not an available option for any of your frickin' Aeons. I keep wanting to call them Espers.
What happens is, I'm pretty sure an ability only appears if you have at least one of the item that you need to get it.
Ugh.
So yeah,
that explains why anything I wanted was not there.
Yeah, so it's not gonna be like, here's every ability in the game. You have 0, right? So I think haste you need. I have haste on my menu now, so I know that once you get one of a certain item, it's like, okay, now you need 20 of them to get haste, right? I don't have haste. I just have it as an option on my menu that is grayed out.
Yeah.
So progress. The other thing about this is that we're about to unlock the game's other major system in just a bit, and guess what? They use the same loot items.
Yeah. So it's like, you want your people to not suck, well then it takes longer for your Aeons to not suck.
I actually have taught my Aeons I have taught all of them all of the null spells now, and that's pretty important and useful, actually.
Yeah.
Yuna has them, so I'm not super concerned at the moment, but I get, well...
Oh, no,
if you're playing with an Aeon, because... Okay, yeah.
Aeons can't cast stuff on your party. They only cast stuff on themselves.
Right, because your party isn't out when you're using an Aeon. I don't like this. It's not regular summoning.
Yeah, it's a whole ass thing.
Yeah.
It is, and it's confusing.
Yeah.
And it's new and different.
There are a couple spells that are worthless. It's funny, you can teach your Aeons life, to bring someone back to life, but the thing is they can only cast it on themselves, and if they're dead,
they can't cast it.
Then they go away.
There's literally no point
the
to
game
using
literally
life
lets
on
you
any
teach
of
them
them.
everything, even if there's no reason to. Although there actually is a little bit of a reason, because
are there any bosses that are zombies?
Exactly. True Final Fantasy heads know that there is a little bit of a reason to cast life on an enemy. However, it's not. I mean, that's a very weird edge case, So, it's mostly just there because you can teach them everything, even if it's stupid.
You might as well just teach them Kiraga or whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's one of the game's big systems, and you can do that now. I think it's important to at least keep an eye on what items you need, because guess what? You'll also get the ability to get more loot items pretty soon.
Mm-hmm. I love her.
At this point, I realized the Moonflow is totally inspired by Vietnam and Cambodia and shit.
Actually, Spira is inspired by Vietnam and Cambodia and shit.
Well, yeah, Spira's inspired by that area in general, but Moonflow specifically, I'm like, oh, you got these low-lying swamplands, right?
With elephants that walk through them, and everybody sits
elephants
on the back
and the colors specifically,
their shoe puffs.
and the vegetation. Yeah, I mean the whole area, of course, was inspired by the Southeast Asia and the South Pacific and stuff like that. But now we're specifically in Vietnam land, which is cool. So
also, what I realized here was this game came out when people still really, really loved, unironically, because let me finish that sentence before I go into the thing. They loved unironically the Star Wars: The Phantom Menace because these little blue guys are Gungans.
They're all Jar Jars.
They're all Jar Jars.
I hate them.
they all talk like this. And they even say words dumb. At one point, one of them goes impossible.
They're hella Jar Jar, and it's
great.
This was a marketing boon in 2001. We hadn't grown tired of those movies yet.
Yeah. So at any rate, there's a really brief little scene where someone explains a little bit of lore here. They're like, this river is called the Moonflow. It's really, really pretty at night because all these things called the Fireflies, that I'll explain a little bit more later, show up at night and it glows. And Goku goes, I've got an idea, being him. And Arn immediately is like, horseradish is not an instrument either. Arn is like, we don't have time to wait till night. We gotta go. And Goku's like, okay, cool. We'll come back after we defeat Sin.
Titties is just so excited about everything.
He loves to exclaim things. That was one of my notes that I deleted. So anyway, then you get to the Shoe Puffs, and as has been mentioned, Shoe Puffs are giant elephants, and they walk through this river to get to the other side. That's how you get there. Kamari shares that when Yuna was here as a child, she was on the Shoe Puff, and she fell off, and Kamari had to save her. But then it turns out that she jumped off on purpose because it was fun, and then she jumped off 3 more times. And Kamari was really worried, and Yuna just goes, whoops. 10 years ago, when they were on their pilgrimage, Jet saw the Shoe Puff, and he thought it was a fiend because he was drunk. So he attacked it. And
what a surprise, he was drunk.
So they had to pay all their money to make amends for attacking the Shoe Puff. And Jack swore to never drink again.
I hate this man so much. Even when they humanize him a little bit at the end of our playthrough today, and I still hate him so much.
Yeah. I don't like the humanization that they give him either. Like, you can't even just say the words "I love you" to your own son, like even through a fucking orb. Yeah. You, I'm sorry, I've skipped ahead, but
he's bad. Well, I think the humanization is I think important because it's like you can humanize him, and it turns out he's still evil. He's just a realistically evil person now, and not a cartoonish evil person now. But he still sucks, and you still hate him.
Yeah. And like, anyway, this part right here made me so mad. I even talked about it in the Discord because, as we saw last week, crying 10-year-old son says, "Daddy, please don't drink anymore. You hit me when you drink, and it makes mommy mad." And he goes, "I'll stop when I want to. Fuck you, alcoholism is great." That he hurts an animal once, and he's like, "You know what? Drinking is actually bad. Let me stop that." And he was like, "Ugh."
Well, I do think that he had gone. Well, you'll probably see it later. He's gone through on his journey. I think he went through a lot of personal growth.
Yeah.
So by the time he got to the shoe puff, he had already become, I think, somewhat of a more decent person. And probably realized he was stupid. But anyway, yeah, still.
Yeah.
Oh, also, it's the same shoe puff. If you look at the background, you can see the shoe puff
I can see
has these big scars on its hind legs, which is pretty great.
And RN, if you talk to him like 3 or 4 times, he goes, "But it looks like that shoe puff is still in business," or something. And talks about it.
There's an important line of foreshadowing that I'm going to bring up later, and not now.
Okay.
In the memorable moments. So, you go off on your journey. We find out that... Oh, no, not quite yet. Few more pieces of information. Yuna used to live in Bavel. She wasn't always a small town girl. She used to live in the biggest city in Spherimorh. She only moved to Besaid after Braska defeated Sin. Side note, the Crusaders have their little subplot. They can't take their choco on the shoe puff. Lucille says, "Where there's a will, there's a way." And future narrator Goku reminisces and is like, "I wonder how she's doing." She's doing okay, which I think is cool. So now we're on the shoe puff. Some more lore. They look beneath the water to see a 1,000-year-old Machina city. It was built across the river on a giant bridge, but the bridge collapsed and sank. Guess the hubris of man, right?
Right.
They talk a bit about the same thing Waka always says, which is that sin is their punishment. Turns out they do use some Machina. Like the Blitzball Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out, and this is a little upsetting. Yevon just decides which Machina are okay. They say, "You know what? We can use these. We can't use this," which I think is weirder than just a blanket ban.
Yeah,
because it's more like, oh, this church is like unilaterally like kind of deciding what the rules are.
It's almost like when churches look at the book of Leviticus and they're just like, "You know what? I really like polyester shirts, but I don't like gay people. So let's only talk about this one, but these are okay."
Yep. And I mean, like, on one hand, I get it. Like, not liking gay people, I don't get. But on the other hand, it's like, of course you're gonna eat lobster. Like, have you had lobster?
Have you had gay sex?
Seriously. So at any rate, but there's a little bit of consistency. It turns out mostly the bad Machina are weapons.
Yeah.
So back in the day, people made more and more powerful Machina, eventually making weapons that could destroy the entire world. That sounds like an allegory, especially coming from a Japanese game studio.
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing at this time. Yeah. I was like, I wonder if I'll ever play a Japanese game that doesn't say, "Hey, America, we don't forgive you."
Which they shouldn't.
They shouldn't at all.
Yeah,
no.
But still, they kept fighting. Even though they could destroy the entire world, they didn't stop fighting until one day Sin came and destroyed the cities and the Machina, which finally ended the war, but now they have to live with Sin. Tidus is like, but the machines themselves aren't bad, and Lulu goes, "Only as bad as their users," and Waka's like, "Yeah, like the Al Bhed."
the grease monkeys. He goes on a racist tirade, pretty much.
So, like, no one was even being racist, and Waka's just like, "By the way, the Al Bhed suck." Suddenly, the Al Bhed show up and kidnap Yuna. There's a boss fight. You go underwater. You fight a thing. It's one of 2 boss fights this week. I forget. Was anything going on with this boss fight, really?
I don't even remember what its shtick was. It just kind of happened.
I don't remember either.
Oh, it's the underwater thing. So, shit. What did it do? It had like a really tough water ability that it would hit you with, and then it did this thing where it would go up and charge something, and if you didn't do the extractor, that was it.
Yeah.
If you didn't do 500 damage to it, right then it would use depth charges against you.
Yep. Nasty.
You could also provoke it to prevent the depth charges.
Oh, that's smart.
That's cool.
But the depth charges, Aqua Shooter would then increase by 50% in damage. So provoking is not really a good idea.
Gotcha. Yeah. I went off grid. I went off track most of my characters' sphere grids to get them a lot more HP than normal. So all my characters have a shit ton of HP. So things like that, they hit me, and I'm just like, fucking bring it, bro. So anyway,
speaking of the sphere grid, real quick. So I completed Kamari's really small sphere grid. Well, I didn't get him Ultima because it requires 4 level 4 keys to get to it. But so I completed his, and I was like, who do I want him to be yet? And so I just at random picked Waka, and I realized this, like, last time I was playing, I was like, I should have picked Tidus, because Tidus can become Orin really quickly, and I want Kamari to be Orin. So I'm just like, this would be the easy sphere grid already has me all mixed up on like what I want to do.
Okay, but you're fine though. He makes a good Waka.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you didn't try to make him Lulu, because
yeah, no, that sounds.
I don't know how the damage calculations work in this game, but it's very extreme because.
Are you both doing expert sphere grid?
I'm doing standard. So
okay.
Everybody has like one long track that takes them all around the sphere grid, but Kamari's is just like 2 circles. So he just goes around the 2 circles and they come back to each other. And when they come back to each other, you then have all these locks, and the locks take you to the starting space for everybody else's except for Orin's. Orin's isn't directly accessible. So I was like, well, I can't take him to Orin, so I'll just randomly pick Waka. And so
I've barely used Kamari.
I use him
that's the whole
a lot
thing is he can kind of subclass any way you want.
Yeah, he has piercing on his weapon right now, which means these douchebags that we were just facing, the Knights and the Thunderplanes. Yeah, fuck those guys. I needed Kamari really bad.
Aaron has it as well, and he can one-shot pretty much anything that requires piercing. So
your Orin is stronger than mine.
Don't make me into Lulu, because my Lulu, her like Fira will do like, say her Fira does like 2,000 damage against someone.
Mm-hmm.
Kamara using it will do like 400 damage.
Yeah, that's wild.
Which is different than normal Final Fantasies. I think normal Final Fantasies, like the level of the spell, like the like which spell it is a big part of the calculation. And in this, it's like very minor compared to what's your magic stat.
Yeah.
So anyway, yes. So after you fight the battle, they're chatting again. They're still on the shoot buff, and Waka's like, "Why do the Albed want Yuna? Maybe they're mad because they lost the tournament." Lulu remembers that, no, remember we got warned about disappearing summoners, and Waka continues being racist.
Yeah.
So afterward, we get to the other side of the Moonflow. Minor NPC dialogue I'm going to bring up here. We finally get official confirmation that Braska is dead, instead of just being able to read between the lines. Some NPC says, Braska must be smiling from the far plane, which is where the dead people go. And another person says, you should see Braska in Guado Salam. And I'm like, huh? But I thought he was in the place where the dead people go.
Maybe the dead people all just don't die. They just retire and go to Florida.
They go to a farm. So you continue through the forest, and OMG, who's that lying on the ground? It's Riku, our favorite character.
And I now know nothing about this video game. This was the cutscene. I was poised over my screenshot button to take a picture exactly when she touches her glove, because that's when it would glitch out on my old game. And so this is the point. And to quote Sailor's Scamg, if I take another step, then I will go on farther from home than I've ever been before.
Yep, we are now into the unknown for Sam.
Yeah,
Sam has now not played this game.
Yeah,
Riku takes off her like diving suit thing and gets into her actual designed Tetsuya Nomura suit, and she's really cute.
Yeah,
and she's like, "You asshole! You beat me." You're like, "How are you doing?" And she's like, "Terrible! You beat me up." And Goku's like, oh, you were the one piloting the boss we just fought.
Oh.
What the hell? Why did you kidnap Yuna? And she's like, it's not what you think. And we can talk for a second about what we think it is. But yeah, she's like, it's not what you think. Then the rest of the party shows up, and Tidus is like, hey, it's the girl I told you about. She's an... he almost says that she's an Albed, and then he realizes that he shouldn't say that.
So are her eyes swirly? I tried to look, and I could not see it. I don't think that the swirly eyes actually exist.
They are, but you don't get a great view of it. They're not swirly exactly. They look more like cogwheels.
Okay.
Maybe it just means they have... Maybe... I think they might just have weird eyes in various ways. But yeah, they are weird, though.
Okay.
So anyway, then Lulu is... of course, he also doesn't tell them that, oh yeah, that person who tried to kidnap Yuna, that was her.
Now let's keep her in close proximity to Yuna at all times.
So then Lulu is like... Waka's like, hey, how y'all doing? And Lulu's like, Waka, we need to have girl talk. So then Lulu and Yuna and Riku retire off to a corner and talk about something that y'all could probably figure out at this point. Especially given the thing I mentioned at the top of the episode. And then they come back, and Yuna's like, hey, even though I just met Riku, I want her to be my guardian. And Aaron is like, okay, sure. And everyone but Waka knows that she's an Albed, and Tidus even narrates from the future. He's like, and he never found out she was an Albed. And I'm like, wait, does that mean that, like, the entire game he never figures this out? So we'll see if that's actually true or if that's just weird writing. But yeah, Waka is real dumb apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do y'all think they were talking about?
I have no idea.
I just realized you actually can't quite figure it out.
When you were like, yeah, it's based off what we talked about earlier. I was like,
well, why do you think why do you think Yuna would be so quick to be like, person I just met is my guardian now?
Oh, is Sid a connective tissue between the two of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. That would be my guess.
They know each other.
Okay.
Yeah. It's cool, and I guess Lulu also knows this.
Okay.
I won't say how they know each other though, but yeah, they go back. They go way back. So, real quick, gotta explain some more. You pick this lore up from everyone, from a bunch of NPCs. There's this like scholar guy who talks like this, and now he shows up in every place you go. I guess he's pilgrimaging along with you, and he explains lore to you. I think he's really cute.
Yeah.
And at the end of explanations, he always goes, and that, as they say, is that.
What I love about this game is game is like a road trip movie, even more than Final Fantasy 15, because Final Fantasy 15 you can go anywhere. This one you're trapped on in a road trip movie. You don't get to go everywhere. You have a point A to point B, but you still meet the same characters in like every stop along the way. It's like, did everybody decide to have the exact same road trip today?
Yep.
And it's like, yes, they did.
Yep, exactly. So it's cool. So like, even though the plot stays really focused, you still have all these subplots that are just happening. Yeah, like all like literally parallel with you as you all travel along this road. So yeah, this guy explains the shoe puffs. He explains everything. He also explains, and other NPCs do too, these things called pyreflies. So whenever you kill enemies and the little sparklies fly out, those are pyreflies. And whenever someone dies and Yuna has to send them, those are pyreflies. Pyreflies are just weird spirit wisps, and they're just they're not exactly the spirits of people is the thing. It's more like they're just the energy of what once was a person's soul. It's not like literally a ghost flying around where that thing is the whole person. You know what I mean? It's just like it's the essence of a person is what remains in the pyrefly. And those things are in the Moonflow, and those things all go to this place called the Far Plane, the Farscape, where they live. And when they go to the Farscape, though, it turns out that they have a lot to do with memories. So, like, turns out if you go to this place called the Far Plane, you can see your dead you can see people who have died. You can talk with your dead dad or whatever. But you're not really talking with them. You're talking with your memories of them, given form by pyreflies. Also, the spheres in the game, like the spheres that are everywhere in the game, they have a sphere-based society. Those are like crystallized pyreflies. And that's why you can, for example, like record video with a sphere, like it's a camera, because they're capturing your memories as images. And you can also record like data and information and experience and a 200 HP inside of a sphere. There's more to it as well. There's more stuff about fireflies, but that's the main thing. Yeah. Also, what's cool is, I forget the details, but there's sort of a more religious explanation for how fireflies work, and then there's a more secular explanation for how it works. Mm-hmm. And you'll find out that anytime you're talking to like Waka or Yuna, they'll explain like what they're doing. But then if you talk to Riku, she'll explain it differently.
That's cool.
Which I think is really cool. Yeah, because she's not a Yevon follower. She has a atheistic view, of a scientific view of how these things work. Which is cool as shit.
Yeah. Which is like really cool for the party composition, because like Orin is like been to the past. He knows that like Blitzball is secretly Yevon, but he's still a Yevon believer. At least it feels like it. Is at least what he's putting on. So it's like Tidus is alone and is like, but no, really, all of y'all are just saying good luck at Blitzball over and over again. There's no actual like religion here. And so now him having Riku to be like, oh, okay, well, like, I'm kind of picking up what you're putting down now, can have, like, actual two sides and not just like, no, Tidus, even though we saw that you were factually correct, you're wrong. And Yevon is real because everyone around you is all about it, or whatever.
Yeah, totally. So you get to Guido Salam. You get to Guido Salami. Which is just some fucking elf shit. I have a thing. I have an opinion of my mind that I always have, which is that I'm really elf racist. I just don't like elves in games or in stories. And
except for Digo's wife Angela.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah,
she's not one of those elves. You know what I mean?
Wow.
No, it's not that they're inherently. Elves are usually portrayed similar ways in a story. Like that's the whole point, right? You're gonna have elves. They're gonna have certain traits, and they're usually like really pompous. They're also oftentimes like literally physical and mentally and in every way objectively superior to humans, which just gives me some like Aryan white supremacy vibes anytime I see it. I'm like, wait, you can't just write in a race that's the best one.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's how these guys are. They all look like Treebeard, except they're actually elves.
Yeah.
I said that some Christmas elf Keebler looking asses. So the dude shows up and he's like, Hey lady Yuna, my name's Trommel. I'm a Guido. I serve our lord Seymour. He wants to talk to Yuna. Capiche?
He wants to see more butts.
So he says that he wants to see Yuna, and they're like, oh, what does he want with Lady Yuna? Turns out Seymour, in addition to being a maester, in addition to being the priest of Makalania Temple, is also literally the president of the Guidos. So, which seems like a combination of things that is too much. You explore the town, learn some lore, it's whatever, we're gonna skip it. You go to a hells of creepy mansion. You can tell it's creepy because the creepy music plays.
Yeah.
And also it's just, there's trees everywhere. It's like, it's cool. You chat with the party, and then they're like, okay, now you can go from the entrance hall to the dining hall, and you go to the dining hall, and then you talk with the party again while you're waiting.
I hate that it's like, all right, Master Seymour's ready for you, and you walk through, and it's like, Master Seymour will be here in a second. Please wait and talk to your party again.
Maester Seymour is definitely giving you the runaround and being a bitch ass here.
Right.
You find out that Lord Jiskel, the leader of the Guado, died not too long ago. They don't say exactly how long. I'm guessing in the last couple of years, I would say.
Didn't when everybody showed up for the Blitzball tournament, they were like expecting Lord Jiskel, and it was Lord Seymour.
Oh, maybe you're right. So maybe it was even in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. So anyway, turns out Jiskel is really respected. He's actually the one who converted all the Guidos to Catholicism. He's the one who converted the Guados to Yevon. They were probably doing some elf religion shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like, no, what if you worshipped Yevon? But their new leader, Seymour, is really amazing. And Trommel goes on and on about he's like the savior of not just the Guados, but like mankind, maybe. And then Seymour shows up and he's like, oh, you. He does the FF7 thing where the whole room turns into a hologram room.
Yeah.
And you're now in ancient Xanderkand. Flying around. And Goku's like, hey, I've been to that coffee shop. You learn a lot of lore here. You learn about Lady Yunalesca. She was the first summoner. She lived in Xanderkand before the fall, so like contemporary with Goku. Yuna's father named her after Yunalesca in having high hopes for her, right? But this is what Seymour says. Seymour's like, Yunalesca couldn't do it alone. She had to have a bond of love. And I'm like, oh gosh. And you can see Yuna getting like visibly uncomfortable here.
Yeah.
So then
I feel so bad
silent.
for Yuna for like the rest of this entire playthrough. Like
she's going through some shit.
Yeah.
So Yuna and Seymour and the party are all standing apart. And they watch a scene where this big knight dude named Zayon shows up, who apparently is Yunalesca's lover. And they like are hugging or smooching or something and loving each other. And then Seymour like bends over and like whispers something to Yuna, but we don't hear what it is. And then she like puts her hand to her mouth like, oh my goodness, like a huge surprise, and a huge shock. Then the hologram fades and Yuna paces back and forth. She's like very troubled. She's like thinking. She's like, oh no. And then finally she tells the party what's going on. She's like, yeah, Seymour just asked me to marry him.
Yikes.
Yeah. So that's this game's next big plot thing.
Yeah.
So Seymour says that the job of a summoner is to be a leader and to ease people's suffering. Marrying Seymour would form ties between the humans and the Guado, and it would make the people happy. It would be an inspiration. It
takes a long time through a lot of discussion and stuff for Tidus to speak up and be like, yeah, but like Yuna obviously is uncomfortable. I think this guy's a total creep. Like, is nobody paying attention to that? Like, come on. And like everyone else is just like, oh, politically this is great, and Yuna's just like, thanks guys, I wanted you to not agree, but okay.
Yeah. Seymour. So they all leave. Yuna's like, I gotta think about it. So they leave, and then Seymour says to Orin, he goes, Orin, why are you still here? And Orin's like, what? And Seymour's like, oh, I beg your pardon, we Guado are keen to the scent of the far plane. And then Goku walks up to Orin and starts going, trying to smell like a fucking...
It's so good.
Like a creep.
He's so fucking stupid. I love him. He's me. I identify with Goku so hard. So outside the party discusses this revelation. They all have different opinions. Waka is more on Tidus' side.
Mm-hmm.
Lulu is like, I just support you no matter what. Arn is like, the political side of it makes sense. The only thing I care about is that she goes on her journey.
Yeah.
Yuna is like, I never considered this would ever happen. This is a really big shock. This is very not really something I expected. But, maybe I will do it, actually. She's basically like, marrying him might be good for Spira. And after lots of talking, Goku finally is like, okay, but y'all know this is fucking stupid, right? And I like how they act here. They all respect Yuna enough to make her own decision because they know that she knows that they know that she knows that they know that it's stupid.
Yeah.
But they're like, look, if you legitimately want to potentially sacrifice your happiness for a political reason, if that's something that you think is worth doing, we're not going to stop you from doing it.
Yeah. It's bizarre to me how much agency the female lead in a Final Fantasy game has in this game. Like, yeah, it's nuts how good.
Well, and also at this point, Yuna really starts being rebellious. Like, you'll see in just a little bit. They're like, yeah, like this is your decision and you have to make it. And Yuna is she's very troubled here.
Yeah.
So the next like hour of this game is a bunch of scenes of the characters all talking about this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into every single bit of it because it's way too much, but they all discuss a lot how they feel about this.
Yeah.
In both required and optional scenes.
Yeah.
So they decide we're going to go to the far plane. So the party goes to the Stargate. I mean, the far plane. Turns out
it's the Fargate. Do you want to get
oh my
sued?
fucking god! I haven't thought about that in ages.
I was gonna make the same joke.
The Fargate. Anyway, so
also implying that MGM would even be able to sue you at this point in time.
Seriously. Anyway, so it turns out right next to Guado Salam is a giant fucking Stargate where you can go. It's like how in Greek mythology, instead of heaven being an alternate dimension, like with Christianity, it's just like a place you can just go.
Do you remember where you were when they built a doorway to heaven?
Yeah. So you go through the gate and you are in heaven, and there's an FMV that it's this enormous like paradise forest with it's Paradise Falls from the movie Up, basically.
Yeah, pretty much is.
Oh yeah.
Also, though, before you go up to the Stargate, Aaron hangs back and he's like, "Yeah, I can't. I gotta not go there." Do y'all want to guess what's going on with Aaron?
He's either a zombie or a vampire or both.
I think he's dead.
Yeah.
Especially like as soon as what's his
Could
dude?
Smell him. Yeah.
Seymour decided that he was going to say something about the smell of the Fargate on Aaron. I was like, oh, he's dead. He is 100% dead.
Yeah.
And then here in a second, when the zombie dude walks out and Oren like starts to fall apart, I'm like, oh, he's definitely dead. Like he's hella dead.
He's super
so Aaron
dead.
has been dead the whole time. He's still walking around.
Oh my god, he was Bruce Willis.
Exactly. Fun fact.
Also, just saying, 2001 Bruce Willis as Oren, I would watch that movie.
Hell yes. Fun fact. First of all, do not go and read the development section of the Final Fantasy X fan wiki. It will spoil the shit out of everything that is good about this game.
Oh, fun.
Don't do it until after you play the game. On the other hand, if you have played the game, there's some amazingly juicy nuggets in there, and it's all very well sourced as well. Anyway, I found out that originally they thought of making Tidus dead the whole time.
Mm-hmm. I had heard that.
And then they literally saw the Sixth Sense and were like, "Oh, we can't do that."
Yeah.
So let's do it with a different character.
Yeah.
Like literally, they changed it after seeing the Sixth Sense and realizing that someone else did the exact same twist.
That's amazing.
Yeah. This is all very early in the game. Like the game was completely different at that point, but still, that was one of the ideas they were working with.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see that now once we beat the game.
The development of this game is like so interesting, and I think it will make it click as a Final Fantasy for you, Eli. Like just seeing, it's like all the things you're feeling are different. You're like, these are different, but then it explains like why they were trying to go different. And so like this one is a heavy fantasy story, but they wanted to do a non-medieval fantasy, and they wanted to still touch on the things that had happened before. And so it's like the only thing that feels like you're playing a Final Fantasy is when you're in battle right now, but like all of the other things were definitely choices.
Also, frankly,
based off
Final
of
Fantasy's always been tentative. I mean, like Parasite Eve was almost Final Fantasy VII, so like,
yeah, anything can happen.
Did y'all know that?
Yeah, and Xenogears also was almost Final Fantasy.
So they almost
VII.
made a Final Fantasy game that was a Control 1 character horror shooter RPG set in New York City. So like,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no
which
idea
I
about
think
that.
kind of would have been amazing, but whatever.
Whatever.
Just keep it the same game. Just call it Final Fantasy VIII instead of Parasite Eve. I think that imagine what a weird series, right?
Right.
Anyway, Riku also doesn't go to the far plane. She has her own reasons. I think it might be more about her secular nature. But she goes, memories are nice, but that's all that they are. So you go up there. Waka talks to Chapu,
who looks nothing like Tidus. This is another Jadeite or whatever thing from Sailor Moon.
Yeah, from Sailor
Like,
Moon.
Yep.
Why do they keep
I
doing
thought the
this?
same thing. Like, that does not look like Titus at all.
Yeah. Waka talks with Chapu just about. It's like what's cool is it's not important plot stuff. Like he's just talking about what you'd expect to talk about with your dead brother. He's just like, "How are you doing? I miss you." You know, stuff like that.
Gave him your sword.
Stuff
like that.
It was interesting to me that, like, I know they're kind of just illusions made by the Fireflies, but I kind of expected them to do something other than just sit there.
I was expecting them to, like, talk or reenact something and not just be, like, it's almost just the character model standing in a T-pose, like, just floating.
Well, I'm pretty sure, like, what's implied is that, like, Goku is not eavesdropping on these people, you know, except for the scene where he actually does eavesdrop.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, so you just see Lulu talking with whoever, and, like, you're not doing that. She's just doing it.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway, Yuna talks with her mom and dad. You go and talk with Yuna, and she goes, you don't hear what she says to her mom and dad, but you talk with her, and she's like, hey, I've made my decision. I'm not going to tell you what my decision is. It's like, it's like RuPaul. It cuts to commercial break right after she says she's made the decision, and then you're like, oh, what was the decision? I guess I have to wait till after the commercial break to find out. And then she's like, you should, if you think about someone really hard, they'll appear. You should think about your dad. Don't worry, he's not going to come. And what Yuna is thinking is like, your dad is kind of an asshole, so he's not going to show up. He's not going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, what Titus is thinking is, my dad's not dead.
Yeah.
Oh, right. For some reason, this is why there's a religious aspect to it. Even though the Fireflies are apparently just your memories in given form, they only do it for people that are dead.
Yeah.
And no one knows why. So, and a lot of the more religious people are still like, is it really just memories though, or is there like part of that person's soul?
Yeah.
In the Fireflies. Whereas again, Riku is like, no, it's literally an illusion.
Yeah.
You know. But then they're like, well, then why is it only dead people? You know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with Riku though.
Yeah. So anyway, what's interesting is he thinks about his dad, and his dad doesn't show up. And then she's like, why do you hate your dad so much? And he's like, well, I just realized it's because of him that my mother, and as soon as he says my mother, his mom appears.
Yeah.
She shows up, and he's like, why is my mom here? My mom no one ever did ascending on my mom. And Yuna's like, oh, I guess she just accepted death while she was still alive. And then she's like, wait a second, that was a really harsh thing to say, holy shit.
Yeah.
That just got way too real, I'm sorry, I really overstepped saying that. But then Goku realizes
it's like,
that...
I have the problem with if someone asks a question and I know the answer, like I'm going to answer it, but like I'll be eavesdropping on somebody like 3 tables away in a busy restaurant, and I'll just be like, it was Bruce Willis, played that character, bye. And that's basically what she did. She was like, oh, I know the answer. It's because she just gave up the will to live. Oh, shit, that was your mom. Sorry.
Goku realized that the reason he really hated his dad was because his mom loved her husband, like, way too much, the way that sometimes women love their shitty husbands way too much. And when he died, she just lost all the will to live.
Yeah.
So it was the effect that his dad had on his mom that really is what upsets him.
Yeah.
So anyway, they leave the far plane, and all of a sudden a zombie comes out of the far plane. It's Lord Jiskel. He's trying to get out. Yuna has to send him, but when she does, a sphere pops out, which I thought was very convenient, but then I realized, wait a second, spheres are crystallized memories made by Fireflies, so makes sense actually. So she takes it. Lulu is like, someone's like, was Lord Jiskel not sent? And Lulu's like, no, there's no way he wouldn't have been sent. But maybe a super powerful emotion, such as, I don't know,
my son killed me.
Must have tied him to this world anyway. So all of them, like, this part's cool. Like, all of them know something's fucking up. And I think they might even kind of know what it is. But they just aren't going to think about it, or say it, or talk about it.
Yeah.
Because it's not really their place, and it's frankly a bit over their heads. So they wait on Yuna to tell Seymour, and again they talk. I'm going to share what one person says, though not everybody. Lulu has 2 talks with Titus. The first one, she just keeps trying to explain Yuna's motivations, and Titus is like, I just don't get it. The second time you talk, though, Lulu says, if Yuna gets married, I would want it to be for love. But if Yuna said she wanted to marry the one she loves, I would have to object. And Goku's like, I don't get it. I'm actually not 100% sure I know what she means here, but I think I know what she means. What do y'all think she means here?
She's obviously in love with Tidus, and she doesn't.
Okay, yeah,
doesn't approve
and Lulu knows this.
Yeah,
yeah,
and Lulu doesn't approve of that relationship as it stands yet because it would get in the way of the whole sending thing she's got to do.
Yeah.
I didn't really pick up on that at first, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Also, Lulu goes, also, don't fall in love with her. She goes, I shouldn't need to say this, but don't fall in love with her.
What did you guys
You get a dialogue box here.
What did you guys pick?
Where you can... Huh?
What did you pick?
Oh, hold on, I'm going to tell you first. So the dialogue box, there's 3 options. There's okay, I won't, and then there's, like, no promises, and then there's, like, you're really more my type, Lulu.
Yeah.
And, of course, I picked the third one.
It's not no promises, it's too late, which is the one that I picked.
Too late, yeah. I picked you're more my type, Lulu. And I thought if you picked that, it would be, like, sarcastic, and she'd be like, lol. But actually, if you pick that, she's like, interesting. And I interpret that as Lulu being like, yeah, I would fuck this guy.
Like, or is her name Lulu Strider, and it's like 3 layers of irony where she's just saying interesting because she still agrees with your first point.
I think she's like, look, I'm never going to fuck him, but like, I would, you know, like she, I think she enjoys the idea that you like her, and it's like, Lulu's, here's the thing, even though Lulu's the same age as everyone else, she's totally written like she's a MILF.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's,
yeah, a little bit.
She's a MILF. She's, I think she's totally like, interesting. If only we weren't on this pilgrimage.
Right.
If only
you
it
do
wouldn't
look
be
like Chapu, apparently.
You do look like Chapu, exactly. What did y'all pick?
I picked that it was too late. I was already in love with Yuna.
What did she say?
She just said, I think she said something like, I figured, or something.
Yeah, I can't remember what I picked,
that
actually.
Makes sense. Lulu knows what's up.
Yeah.
Anyway, then Shalinda shows up, and it's like, hey, y'all are waiting around for Seymour. Seymour left. Dude went to Macalania. Something is very, very clearly extremely bothering Yuna. She's very troubled. Auron calls her out on it. He basically straight up says, like, what the fuck's going on? And she's like, nothing. Everything's fine. So it's time to go through the Thunder Plains.
Everyone's loved the Thunder Plains, but hated the Thunder Plains a lot. I did not mind the shtick. I hated the mobs. So, like, I wasn't worried about being struck by lightning. I just pressed circle, whatever. But then I would get in a random battle, and they would have, like, a mini-boss-sized dude and 3 other dudes that just took forever for me to whittle down, and I hated it.
And they're hard as... And they get tough, too.
Yeah.
Especially until you out... Although... In Guado Salam, it's like, hey, everyone in this store is selling lightning equipment.
Yeah.
or lightning armor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like water weapons. I wonder why that is. Well, there you go, right?
Yeah, I was noticing too that we're getting to a point where there's a lot of mini bosses as regular ass random mobs, and it's pissing me off.
Yeah, this game has so there's 2 areas to Thunder Plains. The second area has these giant titans show up. They do go down quick if you have your level 2 spells, because you'll be doing 1,500, 2,000 damage. But that's still like you still got to cast that like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
To kill them. At this point, my Yuna learned Fira before Lulu did. Because the expert sphere grid is fucking stupid, and I'm fucking stupid. But I was blasting them. But yeah, it's like you gotta have piercing, and some of the enemies. Wait, no, they don't petrify you. That was in the Moonflow. The enemies are petrifying you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah. So this area's gimmick is it's got one of the best Hamauzu tracks in the game, and also lightning will just fucking wail on you constantly. And whenever the lightning's about to strike, the screen flashes and you hit X, but here's the thing. We're now playing in the future, and we're playing on an HD TV, and HD TVs have fucking input lag. So it's like twice as hard as it was in the original game.
It was hella hard.
yeah, like they didn't change it, which makes sense. That'd be a weird thing to change, but like it was not that hard in the original game. But yeah, input lag. Turns out one of the character's secret final ultimate weapons you can only get if you get an item that requires you to dodge 200 lightning bolts in a row.
Yeah, no, not happening.
Yeah,
That's no.
There is a way to cheat it, actually. You can get an ability that makes it you don't get any random encounters. And then, if you run into a certain spot on the map, it will trigger a lightning every time. So you run into that spot knowing it's going to do lightning, and then hit the X button. And it still takes forever, but it's not impossible. I may or may not do it, depending on if I feel like getting whoever the fuck's special weapon. Like, I think it's Lulu's or something like that. Anyway, if you're not interested in that, then don't worry about it. You don't have to do it. It's fine. Anyway, you go through the Thunder Plains. Riku is scared to death of lightning, so she's not having a good time.
Yeah.
Halfway through the area, Riku is flipping the fuck out. She crawls around on the ground like a bug. It's really cute. She's just absolutely losing her shit because of the lightning, which it's very scary. Honestly, the rest of the party's being remarkably chill.
Yeah.
Frankly. I'm not scared of lightning in a way that is unusual, but if I was in a place where lightning was happening constantly and I did get struck by it 50 times, I would be like Riku in this situation.
Yeah.
So she's like, can we please stop at an inn? And Arn's like, it's not going to get better. And she's like, please. So you stop at an inn. There's a cute little scene where you can choose to help Riku or not, and that gives you affection points for her, which is a system that doesn't matter in this game.
Yeah, isn't it plot that Tidus and Yuna end up together?
Yes.
Not to spoil it, but it's one of the most famous romances.
The affection points isn't the date from FF7.
Yeah.
It's a very weird minor system that I might go over at the end of the game. I didn't even know it existed until this playthrough.
Yeah, I figured that's what these questions were asking, because you had a bunch of dialogue choices that didn't really do anything this time. But I'm like, why would I hit on Lulu when the cover of the game is Tidus and Yuna wet and naked in a fucking pond? It's
yeah. Yeah, no, it's not affection in a romantic way. It's affection in a friendship way. It's all the party members.
That's the Old Republic too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sadly, FF7, you can go on a date with Barrett. In this game, unfortunately, you cannot go on a date with Auron.
Damn.
Sadly.
Aww.
So you're staying at the inn. Goku decides to be stupid. I feel like you can explain a lot of the game.
What a shock.
Goku decides to go be stupid. He's being stupid with Auron, and Auron's like, go be stupid somewhere else. so
Tidus, don't you have somewhere else to be stupid? No, till 4.
So Goku is walking by Yuna's room, and he hears something mysterious, a mysterious voice from inside. Sounds like a Guido almost. He's like, hey, I'm being murdered here. He puts his ear to the door to try to eavesdrop, but then, like a dipshit, he crashes through the door.
And Maru and Hashel fall with him.
Yes. Yuna is watching that sphere from Jiskel, and she immediately turns it off. She's like, I wasn't watching nothing. And he just is like,
we thought it was the one from Jiskel, but it was just porn.
Yeah, no, you just pornography. I was watching pornography. Tidus is like, was that Lord Jiskel? And she's like, yeah, he was just telling me to take care of his son. And Tidus is like, oh, we'll take care of him, all right.
Yeah.
I feel like that probably is what he was saying.
Yeah.
I think he was saying take care of my son in the Tidus way.
That was my thought as well. He's
avenge me.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Pretty sure his son killed him.
Yep. So finally, in the middle of the fucking damn ass Thunder Plains, thunder is striking you every 5 seconds, and Yuna turns around and she's like, "Okay, stop! I have something to tell y'all." And they're like, "Here?" And honestly, I get it. I've been in a situation where I had to do something but couldn't, and eventually you just have to fucking bite the bullet and do it immediately, even if it's not the right time to do it. You're like, it is time, this has to happen now. But Auron is like, okay, but there is an awning over there, so let's just go
not die from
30 seconds in that direction, and then you can tell us. Yeah. And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
She says, "I'm gonna marry Seymour." I'm doing it. I think that she hadn't decided until right then.
Yeah.
Maybe struck by lightning a bunch fucked up her brain. She says, "I have to do it for Sphere's future and Yevon's unity." Basically, everyone knows something is up here. Probably because her tone of voice makes it sound like she's very worried. Aaron immediately is like, "Show me that sphere." And Yuna's like, "I'm not showing you the sphere. Also, I need to talk to Seymour first. It's a personal matter." And Goku is like, "What the fuck? How is everyone chill with this?" Aaron says a summoner's privilege is that as long as they do the pilgrimage, they can do whatever they want. That's how it works here. You know, like, you can do whatever you want as long as you're going on your
That's why all the ends are free, and not because they're redundant.
Yes.
Yeah.
And why people give you free items constantly.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant. Because, like, why should you have to buy items? You're the hero.
It's so good.
Yuna still seems extremely conflicted, I think. Like, she's firm in her decision, but she doesn't feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
But she's like, "I made my decision, I'm going to stick by it." Right? So then you get to Macalania Forest, which is a typical, very, very deep, glowy fantasy forest, basically.
I never once caught all the butterflies. I tried real hard.
I didn't do any of the butterflies.
Oh, y'all should try it. Here's the thing. It turns off random encounters when you're doing this.
Yeah.
Oh.
And not only when you're trying to catch them, but whether you succeed or fail, and you have to trek back to the starting point. Basically, if you start doing the butterflies thing, battles are off.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's really no big deal. Y'all should do it. You get some good items. Not like amazing items, but like worth doing. It's not that hard, and there's... Well, I guess I say there's no battles. There's battles if you get the red butterflies. Yeah. But, you know, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, there's a funny little minigame thing. Arn and Goku have a one-on-one here. Tidus is still just like, "I don't get why this is happening." Arn's like, "Look, dude, Yuna is clearly doing a political thing here. She's agreeing to marry Seymour because she wants to negotiate with him about some important topic. I don't know what, though. I basically know it's a trap. Like, it's very obviously a trap, but it's her decision. She's planning something. She's just like, "Doesn't she trust us?" And he's like, "No, she does trust us. She doesn't. She knows that we're going to try to help. She doesn't want us to get caught up in it. She's naive and serious to a fault, and she doesn't ask for help." Then he says that Yuna is easy to read, but hard to guard, and tells Tidus to stand by her. At this point, Goku admits to himself that he likes Yuna. He's like, "You know what? I realized I do like Yuna, but we were never actually a thing, so, like, I have no right to feel possessive of her. So, since I know that she's not marrying him for love, I'm more okay with it."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you're just making a bad decision for political reasons, not because you love him? Okay, that's fine. Because you could only love me, right?" So he gets on board with the rest of the party in respecting her agency, even though they're all just like, "We really wish this wouldn't happen." Okay, so final scene. Aaron is like, "Hold up, y'all." And he cuts open a secret path, and all of a sudden you have a boss, because I guess the game figured you haven't had a boss in a while.
Yeah.
Which is true. This game does not do the thing where they just arbitrarily shoehorn a boss in to the end of every area, which is nice.
Yeah.
You get to the end of Thunder Plains, it wasn't like, here's a boss for no reason. So they do at least have some sort of plot reason for there being a boss. You fight Spherimorh. Did you all have trouble with this guy?
I did, and I looked up a guide because I had to go somewhere, and I didn't want to sit there and figure it out. I probably would have figured it out, especially because about 3 turns after I looked up a guide, a tooltip popped up and gave me the same information. So
yeah.
I didn't have as much trouble as I expected. Like, I had the guide up, and it sounded really scary. I used Eunice summons, and the first time I ended up healing it with Ifrit. So I was like, all right, let's just attack it, and I'll use Ifrit's fire to heal it, to heal Ifrit, and managed to do some decent damage to it for a while. And I was keeping my nulls up on my party. And then I switched to Ixion at just the right time when the thing switched to water.
Nice.
So I was able to use, because it was a Yuna had her ultimate,
Hell
or her
yeah.
overdrive
Hell
at that
yeah.
point.
So you got to overdrive
Yeah,
that
so
shit.
I was able to do that, and that did a ton of damage. And then like so Ixion then died. So I just got my regular party out, and I happened to notice that it was using fire, I think. So I switched to Lulu, got a really well-timed blizzard, and finished it off.
Nice. Very, very good.
I thought I had way more HP to go. I hate things that don't allow me to use sensor on them.
Yeah, you can't censor this guy, so it's hard to overkill it, which I did. It's the first boss of the game I haven't overkilled, which is a shame.
I understand that they want you to have to pay attention and not just look what it's weak to each turn, and that's why censor is off. But having its HP would have been nice. Like,
if I had to guess, I would say that maybe the way the game's programmed, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
Whether or not you can see an enemy stats, so probably they couldn't hide the element without also hiding the HP. So that's probably the reason.
Yeah. Like in Persona 3, all of the Tartarus bosses just have question mark instead of their weaknesses, and that is good. And I wish that we had that here.
Yeah. He didn't have a lot of health. He's not a hard boss. He's a gimmick boss, but like an easy gimmick.
Yeah.
Afterward, you find out why we're here. There's this pool of water, but it's not just a pool of water. It's a pool of magic Firefly memory water or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Jecht left a sphere here 10 years ago. And this is where you get to one of the game's more interesting subplots. Turns out, Jecht,
I thought you were going to say one of the more interesting subplots. Turns out Auron is a fucking nerd, because that's what your next thing says.
The hugest fucking nerd. No, so basically, turned out that Jecht, being Jecht, found out that he and his new friends in the fantasy world were about to go on a road trip, and decided, I'm gonna film it. So it's sort of like a home movie, and y'all don't know this yet exactly, but I've seen it twice now because I was reviewing it for this recording.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was taken right at the start of their pilgrimage, because I think the Makalania Temple, which we'll be going to soon,
mm-hmm.
is the first temple that they went to.
Maybe so.
And that's because they started in Bavel.
Yeah. Right?
That's where they're from. So they're leaving Makalania Temple, and Jecht, he doesn't say anything important, he's just filming, and Braska is like, why are you filming? And Auron is like, hey, that's not gonna help us on our pilgrimage. Auron, instead of being a badass, is clearly 10 years younger and 10 years less cool.
Yeah.
And also 10 years less dead.
Yeah.
But then there's a second scene where Jecht, I guess, sets up the camera, like against a rock or something,
mm-hmm.
At this place, and he records a video for Tidus, and he says, hey, kid, I'm not going to say your name because I'm an asshole dad, and also because this game doesn't have anyone say your name so that you can rename the character if you want.
Yeah. Which, it was last week, just as a quick aside, Auron calls him new kid, and I'm like, Auron, you've known me you've been my guardian for the past 10 years. Like, what the hell? Why did you just call me new kid?
I think he's just nagging him. He's like, you're new here, obviously.
And not my name, JJ
He's
Max.
new in town.
Actually, they don't know that they know each other, I don't think. Does the party know?
No, Auron told him not to say anything.
Okay, yeah. So there you go. So anyway, he could have been putting on a show. Or he's just an asshole.
Yeah.
He's cool. Anyway, basically Jecht is like, hey kid, I actually have been trying to come home. I didn't just abandon you and your mom, but I think I probably never will. But if you ever find this, like, what does he actually say? He's just like, he does the dad thing where he can't actually say, I love you.
Yeah.
But he's just like, he does show some affection and shows that he cares about his kid, in the bare minimum that even an asshole dad can, right? Even a bad dad actually does care about his kid. That actually makes it worse.
He goes, what he says is, but you know what? There's a time when you have to stop crying and move on. You'll be fine. Remember, you're my son, and, well, never mind. I'm no good at these things. And he shuts it off.
Yeah. So basically, he's just like, so he's still being an asshole because, like, he's doing what he thinks is, like, good fatherly guidance,
Mhm.
but he's saying, stop being such a pussy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Man up. Stop crying. Like, he's doing what a lot of people think that they should tell their kids, but really you're just reinforcing toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Basically.
Mhm.
But then he's also like, what he does share, though, is there seems to have been some kind of change of heart. He does care about Braska and Arin and the people of Spira, even, and maybe is starting to become a little bit of a hero and feel that heroic tug, which is interesting. And I mean, he's making the video at all, which is better than nothing. But yeah, Tidus sees this, and let's just suffice it to say, he does not break down in tears because his father loves him.
No,
he's mostly just like, that was weird.
Yeah, what he actually says is, he sounded almost serious, but it was too late.
Exactly, yeah. He's like, it's like, you know, imagine if your dad is like absent your whole life or something, and then one day he shows up and he like gives you a kind of okay, he gives you like a pretty good Christmas present. You're like, thanks, I guess. This doesn't help.
Yeah.
So that's Tidus.
He could have like been there for me and stopped drinking and such, but you know, this is cool too.
Yeah, he's like,
I appreciate the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. Also,
thanks.
Yeah. Also, he continues having his sort of undirected feelings, right? Because he has these feelings about his dad. He's watching the video of his dad, but his dad's not actually there, so he can't actually express his feelings in any way. So for this week, we're left with a lot of cliffhangers.
There's
What's gonna happen?
one more thing. Because we technically stopped at the Spherimorh fight, but there's not a save sphere anywhere.
Yeah.
So on your way back to the save sphere, Orin stops you and is like, "Jekt loved you, you know." And Tidus is like, he's like, "Oh, come on." And Orin is like, "He just didn't know how to express it. I just thought you should know," and walks off. And Tidus is like, "Okay, thanks." And that was it.
Didn't help.
Yeah, great.
That is the interesting thing is because, like, remember Yuna thinks Jekt is great.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, well, she was a small child at the time. So that could be part of it. But I think what they're implying here, and this is not me from the future knowing the twist. I actually don't remember really. I think that they are being like, by the end of his long journey, he had become a much better person. Mm-hmm. It's a shame that he couldn't have become a better person and then gone home and been a good dad to you, but that's not how it went. Yeah. You know?
Nope.
And Goku's just like, fucking sure, I guess. I'm glad my dad became a better person. That doesn't change how I feel about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To quote Barney from How I Met Your Mother, if you could be a boring suburban dad, why couldn't you be my boring suburban dad? It's like, cool, you were a great person for Spira. What about me?
Yeah, and my mom. Yeah. So that's it for the week. A lot of characters having a lot of emotions, and a bunch of cliffhangers. What's going on with Lord Jiskel? I wonder if he was murdered by somebody. What's going on with Yuna? I wonder if he was
murdered by somebody who suddenly came into a great seat of power in the last couple of months.
What's going on with Yuna? What's going on with Riku? Okay, quick little note here. At this point, you get the first Jekt sphere, which unlocks Arin's second overdrive, which is very nice. Every character has a unique way of unlocking their overdrives. Y'all should look it up if you're interested.
Tidus also got his in a random battle on the way back to the sphere, and I don't think I did anything. So
you get Tidus' overdrive by using his overdrive a bunch of times.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that's actually one tip I'll give you. Most characters, if you max out their overdrive, oftentimes they'll just save it. You're like, I don't need this right now. Tidus, if you max it out, you should use it immediately because the more times you use it, the more it levels up. Right? Or the more it unlocks better ones. Right? Anyway, Arin's, unfortunately, Waka's you unlock by winning at Blitzball.
Nope. He's going to have elemental slots the entire game.
So that's not going to happen. Mars, y'all know. I guess the only other one really is Arin.
Speaking of overdrives, I can't do Orin's for shit. Like, I'm pressing all the buttons, I'm doing all the thing, and I have not gotten a single one of Orin's overdrives the entire game.
Oh, I've gotten Arin's. It's Tidus who I have problems
I get Tidus's every single time. I've not missed a Tidus. I always miss Orin.
I think I've hit Tidus's once or twice.
Tip: you don't just get a bonus damage boost for hitting it. It actually, the faster you hit it, the more damage it does.
Yeah.
So if you're going to wait for it to bounce back and forth for a few seconds to really line up your shot and make sure it's right, don't do that. Try to hit it the second it goes over, and if it fails, just try again, because it'll do the most damage that way.
Yeah.
I've been trying.
Cool. I was originally doing the whole, like, wait a second to really think about it, get the rhythm first, and then I realized I wasn't doing as much damage as I could have done.
Yeah.
Anyway, at this point, you can now actually start collecting Jek Spheres. The more Jek Spheres you get, the more you'll see scenes of this road trip. It's like a little subplot. You're learning about the past road trip. I would suggest two things. One, don't go get them. I realized so you can now backtrack all the way to Besaid Island if you want to. I did, because I'm me, and I wanted to get the second Valifor Overdrive, which is one of the most powerful moves in the game. I also, along the way, collected all the Jek Spheres and Albed Primers that I had missed. But the game's writing definitely is assuming you're not going to get the Jek Spheres till the end of the game.
Okay.
Like, I was watching one or two of the scenes, and I'm like, yeah, this scene, it's not that it spoils anything exactly, but it's like, arc-wise, it's like, this scene makes more sense if I get it after I get my airship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, in case you or a listener were feeling like going back and getting them because you want to get Arin's good moves, I would recommend not. Again, like, what I did going all the way back was a stupid thing to do, and the game was clearly designed such that your average person would not do that because it's stupid. So don't do that.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. But it is very interesting, but I'll bring it up later.
Yeah.
The good news is, once you get the airship at the end of the game, it should be very easy to just go boop, 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 and get them all real fast.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, even me not having the airship, it didn't take that long. It took like an hour. So,
Okay. Cool.
yeah. Let's see, anything else? Game mechanical things. Oh yeah, Riku gives you the ability to add abilities to your blank slots in your equipment.
Which is not the same as dualizing as you had implied it was. So I became rich as shit this episode because I realized, I can't do shit with all of these extra items I've been hoarding. So
yeah, I just
have them.
Here you go. Yeah, extra weapons, just sell them for money. And then items, hoard them until you need them.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't beat a boss, then sure, modify your equipment. But otherwise, just save it for later, right?
Yeah.
Later you are going to get some fucking good-ass items, though, like the ability to double your AP, the ability to not have random battles, the ability to turn overdrive meter into AP.
Oh, nice.
So, like, every time you do something that would build overdrive, instead you just get more experience points.
That's dope.
Which is cool as hell.
Cool.
But that's all, like, late game shit. There are a few really good ones. I heard that adding Stone Touch or Death Touch to your weapon is insanely OP. I haven't done it, but if you wanted to, you could do that.
Okay.
Just sharing tips here.
Yeah.
Anyway, memorable moments.
Yeah, I want to go real quick, because I want to make sure mine isn't stolen from me.
Like, unfortunately, this whole game so far, you've just been like, well, all of Sam's. Ta-da!
So my favorite moment is when they're first talking about going to Macalania, and Titus calls it Macarena.
Oh, yeah.
And they correct him, and they say, no, it's Macalania, and he goes, I?
Yeah, it's the weirdest line reading.
It's such a fucking 90s joke.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this was not in the original translation. I can
Also,
guarantee
I love
that.
how this implies that, like, the Macarena exists in Spira, or in Vanish.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
It's so in, not to reference Homestuck right here at the end, we almost got through it, but
damn it.
In the Homestuck book, he was like, wait, if I imply that universes like are all different, how come everyone has the same celebrities? Because like there's a John Cusack picture in Carcat's room. He's like, let me pull something out of my ass real quick, and he talks about how celebrities are universal constants, and it gives the whole explanation for that. And the Macarena is also a universal.
The Macarena is universal constant.
It's a universal constant.
Hey, Macarena. What's your next one, Eli?
I mean that was the main one that I had. It was pretty great. I feel so bad for poor Riku having to go through the Thunder Plains, like all the like.
The poor baby. I want to protect her with my life.
Yeah. I know. Well, and you know she's got Tara Strong's voice, so she sounds like frickin' Bubbles from Powerpuff Girls. So of course I want to protect her more because Bubbles is precious. But yeah, I like those were mainly the things like Riku being afraid of thunder is very reminiscent of Sailor Moon too, because Usagi and Chibiusa are both terrified of lightning and thunder. Yeah, so it brought out my protect the cute girls who are scared of thunder feelings.
I agree with wanting to protect cute girls.
I love Riku so much because it feels like she's from a different game in a way. Like
she's like the anime character.
Kind of.
Yeah, like it. Even though this game looks very anime, it hasn't been very anime yet. And then suddenly we have an anime character in it, and she's just so different. And like it's because like the world sense is so good, where it's like she's an Albed. Albed don't do this with like the same way that everybody else does. So she is also a fish out of water along with Tidus. And so she does feel like she's from a different game. She's from the Albed game, and it's good. Like, I love her so much.
Yeah, I really like Riku.
Yeah. Some memorable moments. There's a really good scene I'll blast real fast. As Sam alluded to earlier, after the whole Albed capturing Yuna thing goes, Walker continues to be racist, and he goes, "Those sand-blasted grease monkeys." and after he calls them that, what's interesting is like that is funny, but after he calls them that, everyone's just quiet, and it literally is just like when you're at a family thing and like your uncle says something racist, and no one knows what to do.
Well, he's from a different
time. What's cool is that everyone else is just sitting there like clearly awkward, but Tidus.
It's like, don't be fucking racist, man.
Yeah, Tidus, A, doesn't have the social graces. B, isn't from here. C, doesn't have a history with Waka. In all of those, you'd think would make him a little more rude and unfiltered, but also, like, he's right. And he's also bold. So what he says is, but he doesn't just say, like, hey, Waka, don't be racist. He's like, Waka, like, what's the point in worrying about that now? We got more important things to worry about. And he, like, totally defuses the situation. And then Yuna even looks at Tidus and mouths, she mouths thank you at him. Which is why I know for sure that the twist about her being part Albed has happened at this point. It's really, really cool. Also later when you meet Riku, when he's like, look, this is Riku, the girl who saved me, Waka goes, praise be to Yevon, and he's very dramatic, he has praise be to Yevon and does a bow, and Riku just sort of like does a pose where she's just awkwardly standing there. Which again is like when you abstain from doing anything, abstain from like bowing your head and closing your eyes when your family all starts praying.
Yeah.
She's just like, a little while later, this is not that important, but Lulu is explaining something, and Goku's like, I didn't even ask a question, and you're explaining things? And Lulu's like, what, would you rather me not explain it? Lulu knows what's up. When the guy is going on and on about how great Seymour is, and then he shows up, he goes, must I always endure such praise?
I hate him.
Which is pretty good.
Same.
I'm going to steal that one. And finally, when the dramatic scene happens where Yuna finally reveals that she's going to marry Seymour, and they're all feeling like upset about this, first of all, Riku calls her Uni, which would be, like Sam brought up in a previous game, weird that you're being that familiar after just meeting someone, but guess what?
They know each other.
It actually does make sense. So she's like, Uni, are you sure? And then the lightning cries, and she turns her head to the sky and goes, quiet! And she yells at the lightning.
I love that part too.
And then my final one. Actually, there's two final ones. One of them I copied and forgot to paste. Random NPC dialogue here. Not NPC, but optional dialogue here. You talk to Aaron outside the shoe puff, and Aaron goes, "Man, even after 10 years, Spirit hasn't changed. It would seem that this is a place that never changes. Something unusual would have to happen for things to change." And I'm like, "Oh, you're foreshadowing the theme of the game. Is that Tidus being not from here is a catalyst to completely upend the whole system, basically."
Yeah.
Finally, one of the random battle dialogues, I get into battle, and Yuna just, sometimes when you start a battle, Tidus will be like, "Let's get him," you know? In this point, Yuna goes, "Lots of fiends here, yeah?" And Lulu goes, "Don't talk like that." Which I guess you have to have Lulu and Yuna in your party for that to happen.
It's so great.
It's real good. So those are mine.
Yeah, I didn't get that dialogue.
It looks like Sam copy pasted what happens when you answered Lulu differently.
Yeah, so I found in the LP archive those, and they're all really good. So if you just say "okay," she says, "That's fine then." Boring. But if you say "too late," she goes, "I see, but you must keep your feelings inside until the pilgrimage is over." But if you're like Maddie and you say, "You're more my type, Lulu," she says she's gonna fuck you. Because she goes, "Ha ha ha, interesting. I suppose I could add you to my list, but I wish you good luck, little man. You'll need it."
Oh, shit.
Yeah, like,
yes,
she's
please.
coming on very hard. She's just like, "All right, we'll see." Which is a really cool response from her. And again, she's written like that's something a MILF would say.
Yeah.
I fucking love Lulu.
I think Lulu is she gets the least development of the whole game, but she also kind of just doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is quiet, she is more mature than everyone else, she knows what's up. She doesn't need to go through character development.
Well, and she's also like, she came to terms with the situation with Chapu, and you know, she's already had her development. It happened before the game happened.
It really did. It really did, which is cool.
Yeah.
She's a great character.
I feel bad saying this, by the way. We're over an hour 45, so we should probably start.
I mean, all I have to do, the only thing I have left to do is say when we're stopping for next week. So,
when are we stopping for next week?
Where are we stopping, lads? Stop the second you get on, and this is going to surprise all of you. Stop the second you are on the airship.
Oh, man. Now maybe it'll start feeling like a Final Fantasy.
You'll be on an airship, and there's some cutscenes, and that's what I was having so much trouble. I was like, yeah, but when's the save point, right?
Yeah.
Because I knew the plot development, but I didn't know when the save point was. So yes, there are a bunch of cutscenes, and then before the next big thing starts to happen, you do get to just save and chill for a bit. That's when you're going to save. I guess if you want to talk to some NPCs, you can, or whatever. But shortly after that save point, you will probably be railroading yourself into another very long sequence of events. So don't do that.
Just say.
That's for the week after that. Anyway, that does it for the week. If you are enjoying what you are hearing and want to chat with us, there's a few ways. We've got our Twitter at RPG Book Club, our email address that does have emails now.
Yeah.
Oh,
we got one.
Thanks,
it came from Matt Jorgensen, and it says first. And then we got another one also from Matt Jorgensen that said second with a question mark.
Good job, Matt. Sweet pie.
Thank you.
So that's
well done to our son.
That's rpgbookclub@gmail.com. And then we've got a Discord link in the description. If you want to help us pay for things, /vote for Dragon Quest V, or vote for something else to make me sad, which is valid. It's okay if you make me sad. I'm just saying that's what will happen. Please consider donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/rpgbookclub. That might be different in the future, as Sam mentioned earlier. Patrons get to vote for our next game. They get to get the new video series, the JRPG canon, 2 weeks before everyone else. And finally, once again, join us next week where we will be playing all the way up until the point where you are on the airship. So, this has been RPG Book Club, and I have been Maddie Webbin.
And I have been Sam Allman.
And I am still Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
Nice. Awesome.
Toodaloo!
Wait, what am I going to say? Macarena?
Hella do Sadwi.